Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Town Council, 16th of December 2024. Say it especially for the machine. We start off with a rather solemn moment. And as many of you know, we lost one of our former mayors and ex-councillors, Mrs. Eve Freer, in November. And we're going to pay our respects to her. So I'm handing over to start off with to Laura.
Thank you. I'm going to help us to hold a moment of silence in just a moment, but I'm so pleased that there are going to be some tributes shared. So I'm going to hand over to Councillor Humphreys, who's going to share our first tribute for us.
Thank you, Laura. Just to say that how much of a pleasure it was to know Eve and to campaign with Eve. I first met her back in 2015 when I first became involved locally in the Labour Party. I had been for some time elsewhere, but this was my first move to my first time being involved in Droitwich. But I really got to know her much better in the 23 town and district election campaigns, where it was always me and Eve on the stalls on a Saturday morning handing out leaflets, etc. While other people went around and talked to people, we would stay in one place, mainly because as she got a little bit older, it was harder for Eve to get around quite so easily. And if I go around with a load of leaflets, I'm almost likely to bump into somebody. So we used to sit together, and the stories that she told me of sort of like past election campaigns, particularly the 97 campaign. So that was something that she was really proud of in her part. And I'm very pleased that she got to see a Labour government again. The other thing she was really proud of, and she talked a lot about, was the time as mayor. Absolutely loved that. And every time I was out campaigning with her, or anywhere with her, the old cock, anywhere really, everybody seemed to know her. Loads of people would come up and talk to her. And it's lovely being out with somebody who just seems to be liked by so many people. But the other thing that she was really proud of, and probably the most proud of, was her family. So it was a pleasure and an honour to meet some of her family at her funeral back in November. But it was great to have worked with Eve, and I'm really proud to have known her. So, Richard, I think you wanted to say something.
I do. Thank you very much, Val. That was very nice. Thank you. I've scripted a few things, so apologies for that. But unfortunately, I was away when it was Eve's funeral, so could not attend. Eve was a strong, hard-working, well-respected individual who served Droitwich so well and became town mayor, I believe, the year before I joined council. Eve still made contact with me, and we spoke or corresponded regularly on many areas such as town events, platform housing issues, older people's rights, to name a few. Her last correspondence with me was on the 16th of August when she wrote, "A little cry for help, please, Richard. There was a water leak affecting Central. No one was warned about it. Severn Trent are not answering the phone, so I'm worried for older people here in the horseshoe of bungalows. Can you possibly find out how long it might last, Richard?" So when Eve wrote or contacted you, you knew it was always important, as her judgment was always good. I duly found the information out, and she thanked me. I did bump into her in town in the autumn, and we had our usual hug and brief catch-up. She was always interested in what was going on, so we could natter and natter and natter. Eve will be missed, but will be long remembered for the work she did for Droitwich and our community. Thank you, Eve.
Now I hand back now to Laura to give us some prize.
Thank you. And so shall we take a moment? It's always important to acknowledge those we shared our journey with, but particularly in this setting, to acknowledge those who have served our town so faithfully. So shall we hold a moment of silence in respect for Eve, and then I'll lead us in a short moment of prayer. As we remember in this moment all those we have loved and lost, we particularly give thanks for Eve. We thank you for the gifts and talents with which she served others. We give thanks for the years that were shared with her, the good that we saw in her. Almighty God, we honour her memory. We pray that she will now know rest and peace. We hold particularly in our hearts her family, her friends, those who most acutely mourn her passing. Give them comfort and peace, we ask. In your name we pray. Amen. And looking ahead through this evening's meeting, Lord, as we all seek to serve those around us, at this time of peace, help us work for peace. In this season of love, show us what it is to love. And in this season of joy, help us take hold of the things that give us joy, and may they be our strength. I ask your blessing on this meeting, on all those who gather, and all we seek to do for the good of others. In your name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Laura.
You're welcome.
That was thank you very much to Val and to Richard for that. I will be saying something in my announcements as well about Eve, so thank you very much for that.
Take care.
And Merry Christmas, Steve. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Do be seated, ladies and gentlemen. I proceed to open the meeting. Just before we move on to the agenda, I'd like to thank those of you who sent their best wishes. You knew I had an operation last week. This time last week, actually, it was. Many thanks to those who sent the best wishes. I'm very pleased to hear from you. I'm delighted to say, although I've got a bandage there and I can't shake hands with anybody, I can now play the piano, which is interesting because I couldn't before. But many thanks again, and thank you. It is recovery. It's not a pretty sight when that bandage comes off, but I'm not going to take it off. So you're all right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's declare the meeting open. Have we got any apologies?
Yes, Chairman. Councillor Dale James, Councillor David Davidson.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Morris.
Thank you. I probably should declare an interest on the Lido.
Thank you. Any others?
I should go.
Councillor Della, same. Moving on, item 3, and I go to the last page. There we go. To confirm, as the correct record, the minutes of the meeting of council held on the 23rd of September 2024 at the council chamber, St Richard's House attached. I have a proposal. Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Brooks. Anybody, all those in favour, please show. Any against? Sorry, no. Any abstentions? No. Thank you. Number 4, to confirm as a correct record the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of council held on 4th of November 2024 at the council chamber, St Richard's House. Do I have a proposal for this? Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions?
I wasn't here.
You weren't there? Right, fair enough. Okay. That's easy to get those 2 abstentions.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we move on to the more affairs announcements. Since our last meeting in September, I continue to represent the town at numerous large and small events. The saddest occasion was joining Councillor Humphreys and the town clerk and also the town crier, who just left Edgar, to attend the funeral of former councillor Eve Freer at Worcester Crematorium on November 25th. As you heard earlier in the meeting, Eve had been a tremendous servant to Droitwich Spa as a councillor, as the mayor in 1999, and more recently through her involvement in local charities. She did dearly love being mayor, didn't she? It was actually the picture on the front of the order of service was actually a picture of her wearing the chain I was wearing at the time, which I found quite moving actually at the time. She was greatly loved by her family, and the most moving part of the ceremony was to hear the wonderful tribute paid to her by family members. It was a privilege to be able to pay my respects to her on behalf of the people of Droitwich Spa and to offer sincere condolences to her family and friends. Moving to other events, Ellen and I held our civic service in St Peter's Church on September 29th. The theme of the service was to celebrate 50 years of Droitwich Spa Town Council. This was superbly led in her own inimitable style by our rector, Reverend Laura Handy. Our thanks go to her and her team and all those who attended took part, including the cadets and other youth groups, such as the Guides, the British Legion, charity organisations, and the St Peter's School CE Academy, sorry, and the readers who described their personal reflections on the history of the Town Council. We were also privileged to be joined by the High Sheriff of Worcestershire, Charles Moyle. The High Sheriff also visited us on November 28th. It was a delight to accompany him as he attended presentations and distributed awards on behalf of the King to my two mayoral charities, Speakeasy and Disability Football Club. They were both thrilled to have such a high-profile visitor. November 28th, Thanksgiving Day in the USA, was also the inaugural Edward Winslow Day here in Droitwich Spa. This started with the raising of the Stars and Stripes outside St Richard's House, where I met some of our local American residents, and concluded with a special service at St Peter's, attended by the Deputy Mayor and the husband and my consort. I know the organisers are keen to extend this event next year. November was a particularly busy month, with two major annual town events also taking place. The Remembrance Parade on November the 10th again showed the town at its best, with hundreds of local residents of all ages gathering to show their respects to the fallen. The Christmas line switch on created an unexpected challenge, of course, due to Storm Bert threatening the whole event. I must thank Katie here, in particular, on behalf of all of us for her Trojan efforts in rearranging the event at the last minute, and also the people who helped make it happen, particularly the manager of the St Andrews Shopping Centre. As you know, Ellen and I are very keen to support our two twinning associations. We spent a superb week's holiday in Bad Ems in October, when we were given an incredibly hospitable welcome. Eleanor attended the French Twinning AGM earlier this month. We're hoping to visit Voiron at some point in 2025. May I remind council, on a more serious note, may I remind councillors of our policing priorities of action against antisocial behaviour, misuse of drugs and all forms of speeding. Also, I should like to remind you of our campaign against unauthorised parking on pavements. Any major contraventions should be reported directly to the relevant authorities or through our town clerk. On behalf of all of us, I congratulate Dan Merriman in winning MasterChef for the professionals on BBC One. He was born and educated in Droitwich Spa, but now lives in Accrington. This was a great achievement. Am I right, Councillor Duffy, in saying he's actually related to you?
Yes, cousin of a cousin.
There we are. Well, there we go. Perhaps we should all go for a meal there.
I'll see what discounts I
A
can get.
cancel outing, yes, that's a great idea. Looking ahead, 2025 promises to be an exciting time for the town, with the development of projects such as our Heritage Centre improvements and the plans to renovate the Lido, which we're going to hear much more of it later on, moving forward, as well as the hugely popular band concerts programme, now extended to 20 weeks, and the other regular events taking place in the town. We can also look forward to taking part in the National VE Day celebrations in May, and of course, the inaugural Rick Mail Comedy Festival in June, an event which has already attracted nationwide publicity, and that's one for you, Chris. Okay. I would like to thank all the staff in the office, as well as the elected councillors, for the support you continue to give me as Mayor, which I really appreciate. I should also like to thank the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Chris Bowden, for filling in for me on several occasions, especially recently when I wasn't so well. Thank you. Finally, Ellen and I wish all those involved with the working of the Town Council, the officers, Rob, our Lensman, the Heritage Managers with their superb team of volunteers, and my fellow council members, a very happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know we're going to have some mulled wine, which I can smell already at the end of this meeting. Hope it's not going to burn. You'll keep an eye on it, will you? Okay, thank you very much. They're my announcements for this meeting. Thank you. Moving on to item 4. Sorry, item 6 rather. Policing in Droitwich Spa. This is where I hand over to you, I think, Sarah. Is that right?
Sarah and Karen.
Sorry? Sarah and Gary. That's right. Okay.
I have sent the report through today, hopefully you'll have read it. So the main thing since I believe you spoke to my colleague in September is that me and Carrie are the new town team. I've moved over from the east and you get the gob from me in town, positives. So we are currently trying to organise the businesses and set up better communications and better processes. Because I know reporting crime can be tiresome, especially for businesses where they haven't actually got the facilities to be able to do it properly, like their computer systems may block certain websites, and sometimes a police website is one of those. But we're gonna look at seeing if we can use an outside agency as a reporting method, which Worcester already use and part of Evesham, and possibly look to put a bid into the PCC to be able to fund that. Obviously, we're always on to antisocial behaviour, and that does go down nicely when the dark nights come in and it gets cold and we don't want to go out. But obviously, with the dark nights coming in, you also have the burglaries which go up due to it being dark and you not being able to see, and then obviously you also have the burglaries for the shops, lots of shoplifting because people are looking to get cheap presents and fund whatever habits they have got. So antisocial, that is a big thing with the council. They have gone down as it would have been predicted anyway. At the moment, there is an issue, not specifically Droitwich, but just in general with the theft of motor vehicles, especially stealing the high performance cars. They generally are organised crime gangs and not specific people, but I know that we did have one burglary and a theft of 2 vehicles from one household last week. One vehicle was got back and one person has also been charged. And in the last month, we have charged 2 prolific people with a string of thefts and they've got dates in court. So it's a slow slog, but we will get there in the end. And is there any questions anybody has for me?
Any questions from anybody? Councillor Franks?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions. In the figures, in the violence, sorry, on the violence, I was just wondering, do they include domestic abuse?
They do, yes.
Right. Is it possible that they could be separated?
I am going to be looking at that. Hopefully, I'm going to, because as the figures show, we have a town east and a town west.
Yeah.
So the figures are 1 for east, 1 for west. There isn't anything for town, but I'm going to see if I can try and make the processes a bit better so that we can get actual figures for the town rather than it including everything.
Right. And that domestic abuse can be separated
I'm
from
going to
violence.
see if I can separate it, yeah. It depends on all of the incidents and the type of incidents.
Right.
But where it has a violence marker, we can count and do that, which will include it,
Right.
but I'll see if I can try and separate it next time.
That'd be great, thank you. Second question is my district councillor colleague Dan Birch just over there. Obviously, we've been in touch about talking about Vines Park, which is, I believe, has seen a bit of a rise in not violence, but crime in that sort of area. I was just wondering what the police would do to sort of, we have got a meeting to look at lighting in the area.
Yeah.
Soon, but in the interim, I was just wondering what the police were doing to sort of ward off.
I was going to say, we have looked at patrols of Vines Park on the day and on the evening, with so we have people who come and we have hotspots, which it doesn't include Vine Park at this time. We've got 2 hotspots within the town centre, but we are going to look at trying to incorporating that into a hotspot area so that it won't just be, for example, up to me and carrying the Droitwich. It will be up to the whole of Droitwich and Worcester also, that they will come down and they will add additional patrols into that as well.
Actually, just the third one, sorry, just a quick one. With the change to having the town centre as a new sort of area,
Yeah.
is it possible to get a map of the boundaries that you're going to be working to, so I know what east is and what is?
Yeah, so at the moment, we've got 2 maps of the east and the west. In regards to town, at this time, I prefer a very nice small area at the moment. So our area literally at the moment is the town centre, Vines Park, and then also the Lido, and that's it for the moment. B&M and Lidl, but once, so I've basically just got the businesses, but once I've been able to set up all the relevant stuff which needs setting up and it's all in place, the area will then expand, and I hope to expand it so that where Lidl and B&M is and Berry Hill, I hope to incorporate that all into the town. So that is, to me, the business parks, like the trade parks, are also businesses, so that should be covered. But that, once we've managed to set up the town properly, then we're able to expand the areas.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Right, so we thank you very much for those replies. Any more questions you have? It's away with it today, aren't you?
No,
Yes.
that's
Just a quick one from me. I'm reading your report earlier. I mean, how prevalent, I mean, it's quite a major national thing now, is shoplifting in Droitwich now? Is it, how big a problem is it for?
I've had many
Businesses.
arguments with businesses before I was off when I was poorly. A lot of businesses don't report crime. And the same as I've said before, if you don't report it, it's not happening. It's not that I understand it does happen and they don't report it. But if it's not in the figures, it's not there. And I know a lot of the barriers is how they report it, which is why I'm trying to take that barrier away so that we can get an actual true figure. And I know previously where theft was under £200, they wasn't properly investigated, obviously, because of how much it's going to cost to investigate. And that was a national thing, whereas that threshold has gone down now. So all shoplifts should be taken very strictly with that very simple little shoplift, and it should be dealt with properly. But I don't believe the figures are anywhere where they should be. Not at all, but I'm hoping with the work and the bits that we're looking to put in place, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get proper figures so that we can actually see what's going on, because at the moment, people aren't reporting it. We've got lots of town surveys as well to ask people about what is your issue with Droitwich, what, not specifically what's your issue, but what issues do you see in Droitwich, which maybe they won't report, but they might speak to us and just say, well, actually, I've seen this happening, or I've seen ASB happening at Barnes Park, which we don't get many reports of, to be honest. So I'm hoping that when we're out and about and we're asking people, we'll be able to get more feedback so that we can specify and actually target areas that we need to, rather than just thinking, well, actually, Barnes Park, loads of kids hanging around in there, let's put some lights in, that's going to sort it. We don't want to do that. We want to actually tackle the issues, but if we don't know about them specifically, we can't tackle them. So we're going to try and do a lot of community work up within the town centre, and so that we can properly tackle what's going on.
Thank you very much for that. Does anybody else have any more questions? Well, thank you very much for coming
Do you
again.
mind if we popped off now?
No, it's fine, don't worry. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great Christmas and we'll see you next year. Thank you. Bye. Right, moving on to the next two items, the High School and the Youth Council. I think, Councillor Morris, you're dealing with these.
Not so much the high school. I have an email apology from the high school. The senior leadership team were asked separately, so they weren't sure whether they turn up or not. So, but obviously, they've got their reasons. But I do have the youth council. So this is from Maisie Truman with the support of the youth council. But I've added to it, so it's from both of us now. So, dear members of the council, please accept Maisie's apology for being unable to attend the meeting today. So I've been left to provide the update on the recent activities of the Joyce Bar Youth Council and the high school. The Youth Council has been very active recently and has achieved a great deal. One of the highlights was a visit to Envirosort Recycling Centre, where the group gained valuable insight into recycling processes and addressed several common misconceptions. Inspired by what they have learnt, they are looking forward to applying the knowledge in a campaign or initiative planned for after Christmas. Some of the quirky facts they learned: it takes 7 days for a newspaper to be recycled into a new newspaper. Recycling one glass bottle saves enough energy to watch TV for 1 hour. Recycling one plastic shower gel bottle saves enough energy to toast 3 slices of bread. Recycling one aluminium can saves enough energy to make 3 meals in the microwave. The UK uses, added this for Christmas flavour, the UK uses 227,000 miles of wrapping paper every year. The moon is 2,300 238, 855 miles away, approximately. So you can get to the moon by the wrapping paper we use every year. The UK uses 7 million disposable coffee cups every day. That's 2.5 billion each year. The Youth Council has also played an important role in the Edward Winslow festivities. They devised thoughtful and insightful questions which helped us to develop a detailed presentation about Edward Winslow, which was covered in assemblies. Additionally, several members participated in the wider town's Winslow Day events, such as the choir at the Thanksgiving service with the help of Westacre. We were enabled to action one of the council's ideas on an art workshop open to the community, and would love to hear any suggestions on how to make this happen in the future. In the spirit of Winslow Day, the Youth Council also sent Thanksgiving Day cards to over 16 local organisations, including emergency services, care homes, and the food bank. This was a gesture of gratitude for the vital work these groups do in supporting the community. Meanwhile, the high school is in the midst of its annual food bank drive. Last year, the response was so overwhelming that the food bank needed to make multiple trips to collect all the donations. This year, the students are determined to surpass last year's contribution and are working hard to achieve this goal. We still have the ambition of a town centre youth club, and to date, the youth club petition has 461 online signatures and over 60 letters from young people. We will be presenting to Whichever District Council in the new year. Thank you for your time. I look forward to providing further updates in the near future. Come girls, Maisie, and Mark.
What a superb report that was, wasn't it? Are we going to give everybody a test on those facts and things? I'm sure Neil from the Green Party will be very secretly interested in those. Yes, Matthew.
Just a question for Councillor Morris, just on the petition about the youth facility in town. Is there any way to share it to us so we can maybe share to our wider networks to get people to support?
Pass it through some town clubs and things like that. That'd be good.
Get more people to sign in.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Any other points? Can you thank them for that superb report? It was really very fascinating. Thank you. That covers both, does it? You're moving on now to
largely Youth Council, but the high school was about the food bank.
That's right. Yeah.
But they'd also probably talk about the Indian trip they had, which I know was really successful. They've got a heart school, and they went to in the October.
It's great to see their site in these things. They're great credit to the town. So really thank them for that. Moving on to item 9, the Olympics and Paralympics. This is not for want of trying this, by the way. I know why it's out like. Let's see if you want to give an update.
Thank you, Chairman. It's really as outlined on the agenda. We're looking at a date tentatively of the 17th of February to confer honorary freedom status for Rebecca Redfern and a certificate of merit for her younger brother, and also Jade Shekels, all members of Team GB for the Olympics or the Paralympics in August this year. With Matt Richards, the difficulty is his obligations for training overseas and competition. So what suggestion is there, and I'm waiting for confirmation really on this one, is to include his honorary Freeman status award as part of annual council in May, if it's available. So we do 3 February, the 2 merits and 1 Freeman, and then the other Freeman status in May. Well, I'll keep everybody updated.
Makes a lot of sense, I think. Yes, hopefully that will happen. We look forward to that. Okay. And before we move on to item 10, just to say I'm going to suspend standing orders at this point, so that our friends from Whichehaven, who is not a town councillor, and from the SOS can take part in any questions or any discussions we're having, or any members of the public at the bar. Do we need to move that as a motion, or please? Yes, so can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Moe. Okay, so we now move on to your big moment, Steve. Thank you for coming. To receive a summary update about the Whichehaven, about the project planning, about the public consultation that has been taking place. So I'll hand over to you. You want us to move around a little bit, so.
Well, as long as everyone can see the screen, please do say if my head's in the way. Well, thank you, Chair, and thank you everybody for inviting me this evening to come along and speak on Lido. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Knight. I'm Place Projects Manager within the Economic Development Team at Whichehaven, and I'm one of the lead officers on the Lido project. So tonight I'm coming to mainly give a bit of a background on that context behind the Lido, how we got to where we are with the project to date. Obviously, people will be aware that the public consultation formally closed midnight last night. So I've got some sort of very top-level summary information, but naturally without any closing last night, we obviously haven't got the full details of that. And then I'll outline the plan's next steps. So this feels like going back a fair while now when we first started looking at the Lido as a possible project. And this all stemmed from the town centre prospectus document, where the Lido understandably was seen as one of the town's great strengths and assets. And then the place board, which was chaired by Councillor Alex Hinton at the time, identified the Lido as being a great opportunity for development and one that the place board should put a lot of focus into. So initially a joint project really between the place board and obviously Wychavon, with it being the council's asset. So we commissioned Aspinall Verde to look at a feasibility study, and this was originally all about the Art Deco building, which everyone knows the upper floor, pretty obsolete really of any sort of current use. And I think it's just important to remind people that that was the original brief for the project. So it's interesting to see how it has developed. But actually the original project initially was to make more of the fantastic Art Deco building there was, and hopefully try and make the Lido area more of an all year round attraction. So Aspinall Verde conducted a feasibility study, looked at all options, and thankfully they ended up concluding that a food and beverage option would derive the most value and contribute to the local economy the most. So Wychavon then commissioned one creative environments and Gleeds to create options for the development. Again, emphasising making the most of the current Art Deco building, specifically the vacant upper floor, and this is to a RIBA Stage 2 stage. So a number of designs were involved, from sort of very minor changes to quite extravagant changes, and then some in the middle. And the nice thing about what the architects did was that a lot of the different elements were interchangeable. And that is effectively what ended up being the preferred option that we took to consultation. So just break it down, effectively we've been looking at three different elements as part of all this project, in no particular order. We've got the approach. I think what a lot that came out from the prospectus as well was that connectivity between some of the town's main assets and the town centre. I think we've probably all agreed that the Lido itself, it's not necessarily got that great connection with the town centre, particularly down to Worcester Road, sort of walking through a car park essentially. So the approach, the design here is to create a much better and safer pedestrian facility for people to be able to walk from Worcester Road up to the Lido. Also hopefully helps then with safer queuing during the summer months where obviously it's a lot busier. Create a turning circle at the top end to the bottom end of the picture there, to help with drop-offs and accessibility. Ultimately, there won't be too many changes to spaces. We're certainly looking not to have a net loss, but because of trying to fit in the improved aesthetics, there might not necessarily be too much of a net gain. And because of things like the trees and the landscape, obviously there are limitations around what can be done. So the second phase is everything about the internal aspect. So the preferred option, which was presented, included the longest or the widest extension to the wings of the building, whereas the first one looked at minor and option 2 sort of slightly larger. I appreciate we'll be able to see sort of the finer detail on this, but the left-hand side is looking at the ground floor, which includes the Art Deco buildings it is, extended wings, and then also the cafe that is at the moment on the bottom, hence the bottom part of the L. And then on the right-hand side is the upper floor, which for this illustrative purposes, shown as a restaurant with then the balcony terraces as well. So with this particular internal option on sort of the overall scheme, it is looking to repurpose the cafe at the moment to a brine pool, with then a new cafe to be built more on the southern end of the site. And then finally, sort of turning to the environs, effectively this is everything around the actual Lido itself. So just mentioned about the cafe, but also creating sort of a larger family area to the bottom, because this area has now, or will incorporate, what is currently the free to access splash pad, which is getting relocated down to the tennis courts. And this was quite interesting actually, because when you look at perhaps some of the original drawings, there was a lot more going on. Whereas actually, by working with Wychavon Leisure, obviously as the current operator, you started to realise that actually a lot of sensible operation points need to come into this. It's all well and good having a real nice sort of fancy looking building and facility, but actually it needs to be fit for purpose from an operational point of view. So some of the small aspects that are included we took out, and made most of the sun trap to sort of the top right, as it were, on this image, which Wychavon Leisure said was definitely really where more of the adults would particularly congregate. But then creating more of a shaded area to the bottom with the pergola sort of in the arc there, with more sort of natural looking fountains and the like for the family entertainment, to try not to contrast too much between keeping that heritage of the Art Deco building, but also keeping it hopefully as an enjoyable attraction to all. Again, just a few more CGI visuals there. So moving on to the consultation, hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at the exhibition boards and contribute as well. This ran from Monday the 18th of November to Sunday, literally yesterday. Had the physical exhibition in the library just over the road, but also smaller boards available at the Lido itself as well, so hopefully people had an opportunity to see either. We also held a drop-in session on Friday, 22nd of November, which was extremely useful, very, very busy, and thank you to a number of people that I know attended that and helped out. I think we had just shy of 100 people on the day come speak to us, which was fantastic. And it really helped, I think, sort of have a very sensible view to everything, because we expected there'd be some things that might be missed off or that hadn't been necessarily factored in, and there were some really constructive things to come from that. So really pleased with how that went. And just as a reminder, obviously the consultation survey could have been filled in physically or digitally as well. And as part of the start of the consultation, physical forms were circulated to the neighbouring villages as well, to try to capture people that may well have frequently be coming. So moving on to next steps, we'll obviously be analysing the consultation results. Just sort of the headline figures of that was that we had 583 online responses and 101 physical forms. So to have nearly 700 responses in total has been really impressive. We've been really pleased with that, and fundamentally, hopefully you'll be pleased to know, the overwhelmingly majority verdict was the fact that it was fully supported, extremely enthusiastic, and that actually, I think sort of the public, as part of the consultation, has given sort of our order to proceed really. So the next steps are that a report will be taken to Wychavon's executive board for approval. That'll be at the start of 2025, and then following that, we'll be looking to appoint a project manager to oversee the whole scheme, and that will obviously be working through the final detailed design, the planning application, and hopefully get permissions to that before then starting the construction phase. That's everything I've got on in terms of presentation, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
Of course, yes, and can I ask the sub people at the back if you've got anything to add to what Steve said before we move on to questions?
Only that we were so delighted with the Magic Words blindfold. We are doing our level best to support Steve. We showed up and helped on the day of the consultation, and fully supportive. I don't know what else we can say.
No, I just wondered, Steve, if I may, have you read most of the comments from the consultation from the people of the town? What were they?
The 700 consultation responses we had. I haven't read them in detail yet, namely because the online ones I hadn't had access to until it concluded today. 101 physical forms, yes, so I've gone through those and added, also collated that information. And the main points that are coming out really are from a sort of a negative side, because as I said, the vast majority are very supportive. Accessibility, I think that's something that we definitely need to factor in. Well, it obviously definitely will be factored in, and perhaps because of the level of the detail of the drawings, it didn't necessarily show the specifics, but there's definitely an aspect ranging from, I think, changing places, facilities. I know there is obviously a new one as part of the toilet block there at the moment, but also access into the Lido itself. And also we had a really interesting conversation about looking to perhaps train the Lido staff and the lifeguards with sign language and the likes like that. So accessibility was definitely one aspect. There were quite a lot of comments that came from an operational point of view. So people, understandably wanting to know or questioning about, will it mean prices go up? Could we have day tickets or season tickets, etc., etc.? Of which, of course, that will be a decision for the operator, Whithaven Leisure, to have on that. But I think what it does give is plenty of scope for flexibility in different options and packages, which will hopefully mean that ultimately no one is going to get sort of pushed out from this, and there'll be a package that suits everyone. A lot of comments about wanting to keep the Art Deco style and the heritage, which I think we have done as part of this design so far. And that is very much the purpose and the design, or the desire, going forward. The cafe really came out as a strong community hub. I don't think, again, that would surprise anyone, but there was lots to make sure that there is still a facility there over the course of this project. So obviously, we'll be looking to do what we can do to ensure that nothing is lost with that. But otherwise, it's just been really, really pleasing to see all the positive comments, and any that are, I say negative, they are absolutely constructive rather than negative. So again, thank you everyone, because I know that no doubt a lot of people have encouraged people to have put more submissions in, and it's absolutely been brilliant to have, as I said, over, nearly 700 comments now to really sort of feedback and add into the more detailed designs.
One question that was given to me by my neighbourhood, actually, because we have a WhatsApp group that we discussed it, was the splash pads. I found there will be a free facility, and what was once the putting green. Is that actually going to happen? Is that definitely in the
Yes.
Forgive the pun, sorry. Any other questions to Steve or any of the SOTS people? Yes, so Councillor Franks, followed by Councillor Humphreys. I nearly said Mrs. Sorry.
Just on the accessibility, it was a comment I've sort of made in my submission. I was just wondering if the designs are going to be passed through various groups, very much linked to accessibility, disability, elderly, etc. So there's that sort of walk-through journey of every or wheel-through journey of each group, and making sure that they are clear on what changes could be made to sort of help them, whether it's everything from colour schemes to sort of the internal doors being the right width, etc. A lot of things I do not know about, but these are the groups that do, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And funny enough, I was just having a conversation with our communications manager before coming here, actually, and that's one thing that he said, is that we've got a focus group. I think with one of the high schools in Evesham, focusing on accessibility, and this seems like a perfect project to take that to sort of get their views of it. For a number of things. We're obviously wanting to focus on Whithaven Leisure's expertise as well as an operator. No doubt there'll be a huge amount of experience and knowledge they'll have on that as to what we need to include. And to a lesser degree as well, last year we had an accessibility report undertaken for the public realm around our towns. So whilst it's not necessarily going to be completely sort of ideal for this, there are lots of things that we can take from that to make sure that this helps with it. But we obviously accept we're not experts in the field of accessibility, so we'll be making sure we get as much feedback or feed in from people who matter to make sure that it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, I mean, just to push on that really a little bit, because if there could be sort of a list drawn up of organisations which would be useful to pass this across and get their experts feedback on, I think that would really help the scheme in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys.
I think you both stole my thunder there a little bit, because as most of you around the table will know, access is one of my big campaigning kind of soapbox. And I was going to mention the access audit that was done of the town, but you've already got that, so that's really good. I'm really pleased to hear about this, the idea of having some of the Lido staff, some basic training in sign language. Can I also ask that they have some basic training in sighted guiding as well? And I think this is an absolutely fabulous project. But I think we have the opportunity to be really innovative and try some different things. So like you were saying, the safer walkways. Thank God I haven't got to walk through a car park anymore. That's a real win. But can we use some of the sort of like paving, etc., to make a tactile pathway to walk through? It's not difficult to do. It won't add a huge amount to the cost, but and I'd be more than happy to help and advise on that as well as someone who'll be using it.
Thank you very much, and I'll certainly factor that in.
Yes, Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Chairman. Couple of points really. I'm ever so pleased to see this development with the brine baths. I've been involved in looking at this for a long time, and the more I've sort of learned about brine baths, is just how much potential there is for the whole town to increase tourism, to increase business. I mean, we hadn't had Droitwich salt manufactured for nearly 100 years. I'm now pleased to say that it's back as a specialist niche product with about 400 outlets selling it. So I mean, it just shows what can be made of the resources that this town has been gifted with. And certainly the brine baths, the more I learned about brine baths as I got involved with it, the more I could see. I mean, that was one of the brine baths we used to have, called the Royal Brine Baths. And it's royal simply because Queen Adelaide used to go to the hotel there. But so we had connections everywhere. And certainly at one point there used to be a special train service run from London Paddington to Droitwich, simply for people coming to use the brine. I'm not suggesting we can quite get back to that, but certainly I think it illustrates there is this huge potential, and certainly getting the details right. And I'm very pleased. This report was only circulated today, but could I urge you all to read it? The fact-finding visit to Nirvana Spa, which is a very successful commercial organisation using brine, but they have to make theirs. They have to buy bags of salt and mix it up to make the brine. We just have to press a button and turn on the pump. So I think there's a huge opportunity here, and I'm very pleased to see that this is coming to fruition, and I wish it well. Thank you.
Any more points for anybody? Can I just ask you, have we got a timeline on this, Jeff, do you think? Any potential of what one of the next stages?
Yes, when people asked me that at the consultation, I said that we've taken it to the exec board, I think for the February meeting for hopeful approval, and then sort of rough timescales are probably looking at 12 months for the detailed designs and planning application, and probably a 12-month period for construction. So the reality is you're looking probably 2027, I imagine, before being operational. But that is very sort of top level and not going into the detail yet.
Well, thank you for that. That's well, let's hope it moves forward. Anybody else got any points they want to make? Yes, Councillor Franks again.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a bit of a Scrooge here. And this is more for the council, really. I just obviously wanted to register a little bit of disappointment that the town council hasn't put forward a collective response to the consultation. I think as representatives of the town, I think we could have really put forward a more bigger unified response to this. I think as both the collective response and our individual responses would have benefited from councils coming together before the deadline, listening to the proposals, as well as having representatives from the different groups that are involved in it, Friends of Lido Park, as well as obviously subs, etc. And then discuss it between ourselves, and then we would have basically grabbed a lot more ideas and thoughts. And because we would have maybe submitted those ideas and thoughts more, they would have moved up the sort of agenda or it being incorporated in design in the future. And I think it would have just benefited the project myself. But it's just a small point I wanted to make.
Presumably all the opportunities though, as this all progresses, I would hope that the town council would get very informed of what's going on. Yes, and I know it's a place for it. I see your point actually, very much. And also, yeah, the time element came into it, wasn't it? Yeah, but I think it's a good point you're making. I'm sure we've got, but I know we all wish you well. I don't think is there anybody who doesn't approve of it? Just out of interest. Dare I say you're unanimous in our support of this project?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for coming and doing
Pleasure.
that.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you again and seeing the next stages. Okay, thank you. Do you want to switch off? Yes, yes, I know you've got to disappear.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, no problem.
Thank you.
It's not that cold, is it? Thank you very much, then. Well, we move on then to the Neighbourhood Plan Development Project report. Hand over to you. Mark,
Yeah.
give an update on this.
So just generally for an update, good news, continuing to progress with that. Councillor Brooks himself met with David, the consultant, last Tuesday. We have got a timescale indicative at the moment for the Regulation 14, so that's the wider community consultation, so the big exercise on the draft plan. We're looking probably around just after Easter for that. We need the minimum period is 6 weeks, so it'll be 6 weeks and 1 day, but it's minimum broken period with no bank holidays. So that's looking likely. The slight delay is actually positive because it enables us to align it with the emerging South Worcestershire Development Plan, because that still has an influence. The key thing being that if we set the neighbourhood plan for 2041, which has always been the case, that aligns totally with the South Worcestershire Development Plan. Otherwise, if they don't, one would be out of date before it's even completed. So that's all on track. As it says on the agenda, the stage we're at the moment is it's a statutory bit with Wychavon that they have to do environmental monitoring. So what they do, they consult with various agencies like the Environment Agency, Historic England, Natural England. So as we stand at the moment, they're just waiting for an update. And this is as of today from Andy Ford from Natural England to get back to us. All the others have replied with no concerns with the draft. So the next steering group meeting is towards the end of January, and we're preparing the consultation exercise, so the material, publicity, and we'll probably have 2 or 3 public consultation events, like Steve was saying about the Lido. What we're suggesting is one in the east, one in the west, and possibly one in central, and they'll be in April or May.
I don't want to disturb you too much. Sorry. Apologies for that. Sorry, carry on.
So, unless there's any questions, we'll just continue to update probably January and March.
That's good. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. That's good. So, all good news and all moving forward. Moving to item 12.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Sorry.
can I take my leave now?
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone on council for listening to the presentation. I'm sure you were all reasonably impressed by what you've heard. Sods, for my part, are absolutely delighted in what's going to happen there. So give us all your support, give Wychavon your support, they deserve it. They've worked very, very well with us over the last few months, and I do appreciate that. And after 15 years working as Sods chairman, I'm happy to say George is getting his prime last back now. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, then. Phil. All right. Okay, thank you. That's very good, very positive. All those two items. Can I suggest that we have a proposal for item 12 to move these en bloc? Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor. I can't speak in about it. Raise it. Can I ask for all those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's all carried. The next item is really for information.
It is, Chairman, yeah. Just the annual renewal of the insurance policy. Just a couple of things that have come out of that. The premium it's gone up £184 from last year, which is actually quite good with index linking. What's helped us with that, it's in the report and the supporting documents, is we had the two public buildings, so here and the community hall, revalued. That was in January this year. So how that's come out, it's actually balanced the index linking increase, and it's also absorbed the legal protection, so the legal expenses protection element of the policy, which is really important. That's underwritten by a company called DAS, not by Zurich Municipal. So as such, Zurich don't have any influence if those costs go up. They have gone up, but we've managed to absorb it. So effectively £184 increase year on year is really good. So we're pleased with that. The renewal premium is on the remittances as well.
Okay, maybe questions on that? That's straightforward, I think. Moving on. Item 14, very important one, I know, and close to our hearts in particular. You, Councillor Daly, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as members will recall, we passed this a little while ago, so I've been doing some work on it. So where we are now, and thank you to the club for allowing us to speak on this. So we've secured the first two sessions. The reason why it's taken a little bit of time is because we were going to run it through Age UK Hereford Worcester, which now no longer exists. So in its new incarnation, we are still working through Age UK. So on Wednesday the 29th and Friday the 31st of January, we are holding our first two sessions, our first two dementia awareness training sessions. This will be open to community groups and charities in the area, and it'll be run at Droitwich CVS. The plan following that is for it to be rolled out to businesses, which we hope to run through the Business Association, and potentially I'll be raising it with the Place Board as well. And then for it to be open to residents as well. It's important that this is not just seen as I've got my certificate, I've done the training and that's it. It really needs to be more than that. It needs to go deeper than that. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to run focus groups. So people who are affected by dementia or charities who work with people with dementia, Age UK, the dementia groups. We're going to bring people together and find out what really the area needs, and to really look at how we can support people. It's about making people's lives easier. Further to that, yes, Droitwich is the town and the focus of the area, but a lot of people who come to the town don't necessarily live in the town. They live essentially in the surrounding villages. So the key there is to work with Couch and to work with the parish clerks of the surrounding villages to ensure that this is a wider appeal. It's not, and that people coming to the town are also aware. Further to that, the next stage would be to look at to work with the carers associations. We have fantastic people who work with carers, but I'm conscious that not everybody who may be caring for somebody is aware that there are these the support groups available, and it's about raising that awareness as well. Further to that, I hope we can go even further than this and to include the schools as well, potentially through the youth council, where it really becomes an part of the town's DNA. And then we'll be running a marketing campaign. As I said earlier, what I don't want this to be is a tick box exercise. I want this to be Droitwich Town's DNA, that we are a dementia aware, a dementia friendly town. Yes, we do. Yes, people are conscious of it, but it needs to be part of every child, every person, every business owner, every community group must be aware that we are an ageing town, and we are going to be a supportive town, and we're going to make the people who are dealing with this, who are supporting people dealing with this, we're going to make their lives easier by showing that this town cares.
Thank you very much. I know we all very much support you. Has anybody got any questions to ask? Thank you, Councillor Banks.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks very much, Councillor Dara. I think this is an absolutely fantastic initiative, and I'm sure everyone really appreciates the work you put into it. I'm undergoing some sort of training myself at the moment around domestic abuse, and the organisation who undertakes it, they sort of act as a sort of a central hub for support. And I just wondered if there was going to be something like that with your dementia training, like off the back of the training, that people who undertake it do have that kind of central support hub to call on in difficult circumstances, whether it's for individuals in the community or actually themselves, because part of the training is more about self-care, because obviously it can be quite a difficult situation.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I think that's key. I think that's key to this to be successful. So AGK we're also involved, and we do have the dementia groups, which I know Council has been working to support as well. So it's about being able to signpost people to know where that support is, and everybody knowing where that support is.
Just a quick follow-up. When would it be appropriate for councillors to undertake the training?
I would say if we don't fill the first two sessions, then that one. If not, we can get an additional one set up for councillors.
That would be perfect. I'd be very interested. I just don't want to step in and get in the way of other people.
Thank you very much, James. Any other questions, Councillor Humphries?
Thank you, and thanks for remembering Mrs. Humphries. I really want to say thank you, not just on behalf of people living with or people that support people with dementia, but people across the board who live with a disability, because if we're a dementia-friendly town, we'll be more friendly for everyone with a disability. And I've got my day job hat on now and say that as training, writing training, and particularly delivering sight loss awareness training is my day job, I'd be really interested in finding out a bit more about the training, and definitely will be putting my name down to take part, because every day's a school day. I've always lots that I can learn, but I'd also be really interested with my training hat on as well.
Thank you very much. My congratulations, Rick. I think it's such a wonderful thing you're putting forward. I know you've got our absolute support in everything you're doing in this, and we look forward to progressing in 2025. And thank you very much there. We move on then to item 15. This is the Droitwich Place Board update. There's not really a lot more to say after what we've already heard, of course. Just to say that you'll notice that we've added to the lights. We've got the lights in the parks, and we've got the lights in the high street. I think the high street looks absolutely fantastic at the moment. We've also got the murals, haven't we, progressing, Councillor Morris? The murals, which we will see. What's our time frame for that? February, March, yes. On the side of the Talbot, isn't it? And where else were they?
Talbot, by Sandwich Station, coming up from the station.
They look fantastic, actually, the design.
We need to share them.
Yeah. Perhaps we should aim to share them at the next meeting in January. Yeah. Can we put that down? Yeah, thanks. If we could do that, we could have that. Be a good idea. Thank you. So there's not really much to add. There's plenty going on with the Place Board. The Lido project was obviously a major thing. Thank you. Moving on to County Council matters. Who's doing this, you or Rob?
I can kick off with my. So first of all, there's Westwood Roundabout. Thought it was really popular, but I have had some anti-feedback on it. But I still got the mantra safety first. I'm trying to save people's lives. I'm trying to create a bit of patience all round for everyone to ensure safety is first. Hopefully, if the weather still continues, it will be open on Friday. So that's ahead of schedule. It's due to be mid-January. So, but hopefully it will be brought forward to have completion then, and then all the roadworks will go. I have to say that the roadworks around Westwood Road were really annoying, but I wasn't aware that they were going in. What happened was, because they were ahead of schedule, they didn't go through the consultation or the discussion approach. They just thought, well, we need to crack on with it, so we'll put the roadworks in. So that's why they did it after the event, not before the event, in terms of the roadworks. The one-way system. Selston Way Vaz, I need to thank Town Clerk and Rob for their brilliant support there with highways, and bring the VAS further up Solston Hill, because that now gives the drivers going downhill when they accelerate the time to hopefully slow down before they get to the Bower Hill junction and around the bend. Previously, the VAS was after the bend, so hopefully this gives a better indication and supports safety there as well. Divisional funds, so I've given money to the Westlands bench that the Residents Association have put in place, and now Public Health have picked up on that, and they're now going to do a sequence of benches across Westlands to support the community. Salt Fest, I gave some money to support the cinema club for the kids, so they've got on shows in the marquee for youngsters, so I paid for that. High School Inclusion Centre, that's just a bit at the bottom of the high school site. I paid for some fitness equipment. They want to get youngsters who struggle a bit with inclusion within the school, give them some equipment to work on health and safety. So I've paid to support that. And I've given some money to Site Concern to support a network event that they're looking at doing.
Thank you very much. Anything to add?
And just one or two things, if I may, Chair. Talking about divisional fund, I was very pleased to be able to support to raise there with the some signage to go with the litter picking activities, and also I was able to support this report that you now have from the visit to Nirvana Spa. Again, I hope it's a very comprehensive one, and I hope that you will perhaps find time to read it at some point, because you'll find it covers everything. And Charles Brecknell, who's is one of the people there, he is the brine expert, which you'll gather from references to sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, and all sorts of other things in there. But actually, it does show what can be done with the brine baths, and I think that's hopefully that will be taken on board going forward. So I was happy to support that.
Could I just ask from a personal point of view, I happened to go on the bus to Worcester today, and it took me half an hour to get out to Droitwich. What was going on?
Yeah, I've had emails. The motorway was closed, wasn't it? One of the problems on the motorway, which really antagonised the traffic this morning.
It wasn't dying today, so it's been not so bad recently, but today, coming back was all right, going, it took me an hour, by the way. Going on to district council matters, sorry.
Just to say, thank you so much for your patience in dealing with everything around the Westlands Island, particularly some of the backlash that we've had on, I've noticed on Facebook. I was speaking to a few people I know in Westlands over the weekend who, one of them is a driver for a living, and he doesn't know what people's problem is. He said he would rather have a crossing there and people would be safe and have a small amount of inconvenience than have, and maybe it will slow traffic down very slightly. But there's many other traffic roundabouts like that around the country where they have a crossing system in place.
You're totally right.
It will be a huge benefit for all of us non-drivers who want to get to and from Westlands. So thank you.
And I think we do know that in the 70s they should have done a flyover.
Yes.
Yeah, they should have costed it out of the project. They didn't. It's too prohibitive cost-wise now. And the footbridge, there's nowhere to kick it off, and there's nowhere to finish it in terms of the landing and settling. And that is costly as well in terms of finding solutions. So it would be way into the future. This is the quickest, easiest solution to get to bring safety.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for county councillors? Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, just to confirm, because I've had a lot of pressure at home because my wife's had to reschedule a lot of things for people coming in to our house for her services, and therefore, she's rather uptight about it because, of course, people get lost, and then that session doesn't go, so everything is thrown. So there's a sense because she's obviously at the moment a bit behind on the cost because she's had to reschedule forward. Can you confirm that it will be finished at the end of the year?
I can confirm their intention is to try and open it Friday, but Yeah, the old ways that things work nowadays, everything's contracted out, isn't it? So you've got highways doing the contract out for the development, but then they've got subcontractors doing all the other part. So it's dependent on everybody meeting their contractual right and they're bringing everything forward. So from when the date they were contracted, can they meet the new date to actually get it done? So as long as everything happens, then but mid-January will be the latest.
I think it's all right for people who live here who know the alternate routes. It was the people coming from outside who didn't know.
The one, sorry, if I may, just the one thing that they do is put covers over the lights and not officially over it yet, because it's got to get third-party safety checks before it can legitimately.
I have to say, our operation in Kidderminster Hospital last week, and I had to be there at 7 o'clock, and there's no problem at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, it's not, but it's a point though, and I look forward to it being completed. Any other points to the councillors?
I went today.
All right.
And it was at about 1:30 and it was crying as well. Just let you
So,
know.
yeah, good. Okay, that's it. We'll move on to district. Who's doing the district council? George?
Happy to say that. So a lot of the district matters have been covered in previous updates and presentations. As was briefly mentioned, Wychavon is planning and going forward with a new water play area in the Droitwich Lido, which will be free use. Excitingly, that's an exciting one, and helping address other issues in Droitwich, our very own Councillor Della, in his Wychavon roles, ran a housing summit, bringing together the partners and information from parts of Wychavon's role within the housing sector. Starting hopefully a new trend in a more holistic way of looking at how Wychavon can help with the housing challenge. Probably the largest update that I know many will be eager to hear is Wychavon's action on the Raven Hotel. Having ordered urgent work to be completed, this unfortunately wasn't completed by the developer. So Wychavon will now be instructing contractors to carry out that work and paying back the costs. I believe that's the majority that I had to update.
Councillor Frank, I think I know what you're going to ask actually. Yes.
No, I'm not going to ask. I was just going to add if that's all right. So I've been battling lots of issues between bouncing. That always seemed to ping pong between the county council and the district council. I eventually got confirmation, which probably everyone else knows is the fact, that moss and algae on pavements is the responsibility of Wychavon District Council. FCC have been ignoring me for some time now, even when I've been submitting them. So now I had confirmation of Tim Lewis, so he has basically now pushing forward with that in terms of getting those things done. So I'm now going on a bit of a spree with reporting as many paths with moss issues as possible. I just recommend that you do the same. They've got capacity issues, which they keep telling me time and time again. So it might take some time, but get them registered. And then, I'm just worried that some serious paths just around Heritage Way, the paths there are absolutely shocking. Even that little slope going up into the car park was pretty dangerous. So I'm trying to push them to get things done. So please, if you do submit it, it's I think Wychavon at FCC Environment or something. .co.uk. I can ask Bob, maybe pass it around just to keep the paths safe. Thank you.
Any other points to the district councillors? Just going back to what you said about the Raven, George. I mean, but is there any movement on the planning? I mean, that's I'm coming back to the is there any other movement beyond that?
We're on camera, George.
Yeah, so we've been trying to make sure I'm sticking just to the update that was sent out for circulation. Movement in what sense?
Development.
The planning application and the planning developments for the Raven remain the same.
Yeah.
It's
priorities to get it saved.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I want to just add that there are regular meetings with the district councils.
That's good. Any other points, district councillors? No. So we move on to accounts for payment. I've signed all these checks, so they've already passed them. Somebody move that they be passed, these accounts. Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Like to second them. Councillor Brooke. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? No, thank you. So that concludes that part of the meeting. We now go on to item 19, and I think this is going to be very long actually. So, to consider the exclusion of the public and press by passing the following motion: that the press and public be now excluded from the meeting for the provision of the public bodies admission to meetings act 1960 by virtue of the confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, which involves financial and legal matters. And I have a proposal for that, please. Councillor Mr. Bowden and Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That's passed. So we'll just wait for a minute while we.